I looked on your site, and one of the topics that you talked about is flu shots and how it might not be helping a certain group. Can you explain a little bit about that?
Well, flu shots are a very big topic in terms of the benefits and the negatives. And unfortunately, I wish that flu shots were really enormously better than they are. So there's been a lot of questions that have come up. Number one, they're grown typically, and this may change, but right now, typically they're grown in eggs, and they put in what they think will be the strains, and then they grow them. But it turns out, and there was papers published on this about a year ago, that the virus actually morphs in this process of growing it to become the flu shot. And in that process, it changes. So what they put into the egg is not what they get out of the egg. So it's a best guess scenario in the first place, but what they put in isn't what they get out. So the chance of the flu shot being incredibly beneficial isn't zero, but it's on the low end. We know for seniors, the most at-risk people, like the very young children and the seniors being arbitrarily 65 and up, that they have less robust immune systems. Young children, their immune systems are not yet mature, like babies, and old people, they have aging immune systems. And with loss of hormones, their immune systems are not as robust. You could have an elderly adult who gets a ruptured appendix and they don't even muster a fever. Their white count doesn't even go up. I mean, that's because their immune systems are so weak. So the most vulnerable people to die from the flu are the ones that get the least benefit from the flu shot, and the benefit for everyone is kind of in question. So the CDC's own data is that the traditional flu shot, we'll call it the single dose, that for seniors has an efficacy of 24%. Well, I scratched my head when I read that because, wait a minute, placebo is about 33%. So exactly, and how did you come up with that 24%? But then they came up with the senior flu shot, the strong flu shot. Okay, what is that? They just doubled the dose. So it's just taking the same flu shot and they just doubled the dose. So that brought the efficacy, this is the CDC's own data, from a measly 24% up to 26.5%. So, and then their recommendation is, but every senior must get it. So, okay, but don't expect it to help you because there's far more chance that it won't help than that it will. And I'm not totally sure I know where they got that data from. And I'm sure they put their best foot forward. They didn't want to show the worst data possible. So that's the best they could come up with, which is still below placebo. So what can a person do? Well, it turns out that one of the staples of many of my treatments is N-acetylcysteine, and that's a derivative from an amino acid, cysteine, and it actually is data that's published in very good peer-reviewed journals that it lowers your risk, not just of the flu, but of any kind of contagious thing that comes along. So that is very helpful. And vitamin C, which has always had taken its hit, right? But if you take at least a baseline of like 500 milligrams, that certainly is a do no harm thing and may help. But at the first sign of symptoms, it has been shown that if you give higher dose, like at least like 3,000 milligrams of vitamin C, that you can actually boost the immune system. As well, high dose vitamin D3 has been shown. So you give a bolus for just 3 days. You're not going to make someone vitamin D toxic in 3 days. Most people are too low anyway. And low vitamin D, of course, is a risk factor for just about everything you can think of. So you can give a higher dose, you could give, say, 10,000, but just for 3 days. So it's a very short bolus. Or you could give the 50,000, which people give once a month. Some people give, you could just do that. So you can give a higher dose, but just for a few days, and that will also be very, very beneficial. And then, of course, some of the I love the herb pelargonium, and sometimes, colloidal silver. So we have a variety of tools that we can use. The flu medications have not really been shown to be very efficacious either. So I know people love to think that they could go get some Tamiflu, but it really hasn't been shown to be particularly useful, unfortunately. And there's some new things on the market. I'm kind of in a cautious wait and see position on some of those.